All right, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. We are up today to Daf Lamed Zayin, a little bit ahead, Daf Lamed Zayin, but we stopped at Lamed Vav Amud Beis, 7 lines from the bottom. 7 lines from the bottom. My al davar acher. If you could see, the last word on the 8th line from the bottom is my, and my al davar acher mishem davar acher. This goes back to a statement Rav Acha made in the beginning of the Amud, where he says that Chazal were geyser on Piton and Shamnon, Yenon, Abnei Seyen, and Val Davar Acher, Mishem Davar Acher, right? He has a whole list of what Chazal were geyser, and the Gemara wants to know why my Al Davar Acher, Mishem Davar Acher. What does it mean, Al Davar Acher, Mishem Davar? A very vague statement. What's meint this? Chavais was meint Piton, bread, right? Yenon, their wines, Shamnon, their oils, Bnei Seyen, their daughters. What's Davar Achem? What's this vague statement? Amar of Nachman bar Yitzchak. So Nachman Yitzchak says, Gozru al tinoi korvet kechavim sheyatame beziva. What they meant was, they were geyser on a tinok ovet kechavim, on a child, on a non-Jewish kid, that he is metame like a zav, like an avatoma. Right? Even though there was no ziva b'poil, even though there was no actual ziva, but Chazal said we have to treat a non-Jewish child like a zav who is tamei meda'iraisa with the avatoma. Why? Because we don't want Jewish children to hang around the non-Jewish children because of mishkav zachar, because of sodomy. So therefore, we want them to distance themselves from non-Jewish children. That's why they said non-Jewish children have a din of a zav. Mamish tomei meda'iraisa, an avatoma. They gave them a status right off the bat of tomazav. So the Gemara, the Omer Abzeira, Tsar Godel Oyeli Etzel Rabasi. I had a tremendous tsar when I brought the shiur to Rabasi. Rabasi Etzel Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan Etzel Rabbi Yanai, Rabbi Yanai Etzel Rabbi Nosson ben Amram, Rabbi Nosson ben Amram Etzel Rebbe. Tinoik Ovid Kchavim Me'emasai Matama Beziva. From when, at what age is a Tinoik Ovid Kchavim Matama Beziva? Right, we just said a non-Jewish child. Yeah, 4 lines in the bottom of Amud Beis. Shalom Aleichem. Tinuk Ovid Kechavim and Me'emasai Matama Beziva. From when is a Tinuk, a non-Jewish child, Matama Beziva? Only Ben Yoimai. As soon as he's a day old, mamish when he's a baby, right away, when he's born, right away as a din of Tumazav. We want Jewish children to stay away from non-Jewish children. Yeah? We don't want them to play with each other because we don't want them to influence the Jewish child.
So this is
negatively.
A zachar and a nekeva, both.
Both, doesn't matter. Very good. Yeah, with different ages. The Gemara is going to talk about the nekeva in a moment. But the Gemara wants to know about zachar, either ben yoimek, shebas letzrebchi, amli ben teisha shana v'yom echad. No, what age do we ban any connection between a non-Jewish child and a Jewish child? Right? When do we say that a non-Jewish child is matama betuma zav because we want to distance a Jewish child from him? It's only ben teisha shana v'yom echad. Kshebasi v'ertzesi devaru l'fnei Rebbe, amli hanach devarai v'achois divi Rebbe Chia, da'amr tinuk avchav v'emisam tabaziv ben teisha shana v'yom echad. He says, listen to Rebbe Chia. Rebbe said, drop what I said and grab onto my Talmud, what Reb Chia said, that a non-Jewish child has a din, has a status of a tumazav, only once he's 9 years and a day. Hoyel v'roy lebia, matami nami beziva. Since the chashash asarim is mishkav zachar, so therefore, only from a time that the non-Jewish child is roy lebia, that's when he's matama beziva. Yeah, Omer Ravina, Hilkach.
So that's right. You're talking about a zachar, right?
A zachar. Yeah. Very good.
Okay.
Omer Ravina, Hilkach tinoikis, hot tinoikis avedis kechavim. When we're dealing with a tinoikis avedis kechavim, bas sholoi shonim v'yoim echad.
Right.
There's a whole different age for a non-Jewish child, a female.
Girl, yeah.
That's from 3 years and a day. Why? Because she can be impregnated from 3 years and a day. She's really bia by then.
Wow.
Gemara asks, Pshita. Yeah? If for a male, it's Mizman Shuroi Labia, which is 9 years and a day. So I know by a female, it's also from when she is Rui Labia, which is 3 years old. Why do I need to spell it out? Gemara says, Ma'od the Tema, no. I would have thought maybe high. The reason why, by a male, by a boy, it's 9 years. Yoda la'argule, because once he's 9 years old, he knows how to influence the Jewish child. Vaha lo yoda la'argule. But a female, even though she's ru'uya lebia at 3 years old, still she doesn't have the cunningness, she doesn't have the smarts to be able to influence a Yisrael, Kamash Malan, that it doesn't matter if it's yoda la'argule. As long as it's ru'uya lebia, that's already enough. As long as it's ru'uya lebia, that's already enough. So by a male, it's matamatum aziva, by a non-Jewish child, it's male 9 years old, and by a female, it's 3 years old. Okay, that's that.
At the age of 9 years, unless the parents are teaching the boy to try to influence, at 9 years old, they wouldn't. What would they try? Why would they try to?
You can have a negative influence even at 9 years old. I mean, you're
like a wild
how old are
or
you? You're 13, right?
Yeah.
Now I remember when you were 9. Actually, I remember when you were 7. You were quite influential. Your smile was contagious. I remember you. You were quite influential.
I remember you used to dance on the table.
I remember, Moshe.
Yeah, you were dancing on the table.
Remember, you were influential. No, serious. No, I'm not joking. I remember when he was, literally, I was, Rabbi Beis Naftali would come in, biggest, remember? I spoke at your bar mitzvah. I said it over at your bar mitzvah. Right here.
I remember him dancing on tables.
That's right.
What was it jumping on tables?
You were jumping on tables, you know. I'm serious. On chairs,
Okay.
on table.
Reb Shaul, it's good to see you, Reb
That
Shaul.
was when I was like 20 years old or something.
9, 10.
Yeah. Okay. Zu die Gemara weiter.
Where?
We're right now 5 lines from the top of Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think it was maybe
Okay, good,
a
thank you.
gomer. You were dancing, you climb on the chairs on the table and start dancing.
Aha. Mistamich v'ozol Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya Akasper de Reb Simloi Shammai. Gemara is going back to the halacha of Shamnan, the shemen of a goy, which were goyzer not to use, right? Not to benefit from, not to eat. Not to benefit, not to eat, the Mishnah said earlier. So the Gemara says now, Mistamich v'ozol Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya Akasper de Reb Simloi Shammai. Now remember, Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya was the grandson of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Right? He was the grandson of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. He's called Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya. He was already in Amoira. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi was the last of the Tanoim. So Mistamach v'oz Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya Kasper de Reb Simloi. He was leaning on the shoulder of his shamus, Reb Simloi. Oh, Marloi, Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya said to Reb Simloi, Simloi, La Yisa Emesh Besmedrish Kishetanus Hashemen. You weren't by us in the Besmedrish yesterday, last night, when we said that shemen of a goy is mutter. We're matter it.
Right.
Mishnah says it's usur, and last night, major news, breaking news on the headlines of every paper and every social media site. Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya and his bezdin was matir shemen of Ovid Kechavim.
How are they allowed to do that?
Oh.
Okay.
Oh my Lord, Gemara's going to talk about it right now. Oh my Lord, B'yameinu tatir afas hapas. He says Yiratzayin that you should even be matir the pas. Why only the shemen? Oh my Lord, we just add to know. In Cain, Korla Bezdina Sharyam. If we're going to do that, then the whole world is going to label us as a bezdin that's matir, like a bunch of matirim.
Then they
Right,
would
they're
say,
makilim.
you're able to do anything. If you're
Yeah, you able to do anything. They're just a bunch of makilim. These rabbis.
The answer to the question why you're able
כמו
to
שאמרו
commit the
לרב
oil.
עובדיה. אשכנזים קראו לו המוקל גדול, המוקל גדול.
מה קראו לו?
המוקל.
מה זה המוקל?
Mekel.
מוקל.
המוקל גדול.
מוקל גדול. כן, כך קראו לו?
ככה היו עושים לו, ככה.
הגמרא אומר,
לפני שהוא נהיה נשיא, שר התורה.
koyach de'ateicha odif.
נכון?
Yeah, it's a kunst to say osir. You go to everybody can say osir.
הגמרא מציע.
The what?
כוח דהיתר, כן.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
that's right.
הליטאים כוח דהיתר הלא עדיף.
So, so he says he should be mater pas also. Omar loy im kein kolam is a shayim. The Tanan, who do we see was called, Reb Shaul gave a dugma of Rav Avadia. But the Mishnah in Edia says, Hey, Rabbi Yosef ben Yezer Shtreda, al Ayol Kamsa, on a grasshopper that's named Ayol. Dochan, that's tor. In other words, you're allowed to eat it. Mashkai bais mit b'chayim. Any mashkin that is in the Beis B'chayim of the Azorah of the Beis HaMikdash, They said there's no gzeiras tumah on mashkin. Usually mashkin has a din of tumah. Mashkin is metame.
If it's megula, if it right.
Nothing to do with megula. It's tam. If it touches tumah, mashkin
Oh,
touches
right,
tumah.
yeah. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the halacha is. So it's metame, but mashkin bebeis b'chaim is not dochan. Yeah, it's not makabel tumah. Al diyikrav lemisav misav, and anyone who touches a mace is tameh. And since he was matir, these three areas, now you can ask me, the last one is not matir, it's asr. Okay, the Gemara is going to talk about it in a moment. V'korelei Yosef, not Ravad Yosef, Sharia, Yosef Sharia. They called him, as a result of being matir, these three cases, they called him Yosef Sharia. So he said, I'm afraid that people are going to call me, he said to Reb Simloi, I'm afraid people are going to call me Yosef Sharia because if I'm matir pas and shemen, they're going to call me Yosef Sharia.
What's his name, Yosef?
No, they're going to call me. No, they're going to call me Yehuda Sharia. Right? They're going to call him whatever he was. Yehuda Sharia. Geval. Rabbi Yoel. Omar lei.
Lamed Zamer Amar Aleph. Okay.
Omar lei says, he said to Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, no, you can't compare to Yosef ben Yezer. You know why? Because Hassam, in the case of Yosef ben Yezer, Shoret Las, he was matir three things. You just counted, right? You counted the basement b'chaim, you counted the grasshopper, you counted the mace. But Umar, Shorech Hado, you only were matir one. Which one were you matir? Shemen of a guy. And if you would have been matir the pass also, like we're talking, Akatatatu Davin, you only were matir twice. Two things. And we wouldn't have called you Yehuda Sharia for being matter two things. They're only called Yosef ben Yezer, Yosef Sharia, Yosef Sharia, because matter three things. So you weren't matter three things yet. Amarlei knows when we said to Rasulullah, no Sharia Achita, it was already matter another thing. So had it been matter pas, it would have been three. That's why I don't want to be matter pas. Mahi, what's the other thing that was already matter? None. Well, look, the Mishnah Gittin. A guy says, he gives a get to his wife. In the olden days, there was no WhatsApp, no email, no planes, no jets, no cars.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. A husband went abroad, overseas, no Greece, no Italy, nothing. Yeah, I was in Greece. Literally, I was in Greece this morning. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, I just came back. I was in Greece this morning. I was in Italy 2 days ago. I'm in different countries. So in the olden days, a husband leaves his wife, goes abroad overseas. She has no idea if he's going to come back, and she has no idea what's going to happen to him. So if he's a good husband, the Moshe Chasam Sofer says, yeah, if you take a look at Masechta Gittin, you open a Masechta Gittin, if you ever notice a Masechta Gittin, that most of the Masechta talks about Shlichus. Yeah? It says Hamedi Gittin Medina Sayyam. The second peg is called Hamedi. The third peg is called Hasheleach.
Right.
All Shlichus. Only at the very end, the very last daf, right, in Gittin is, Machlekes B'Sham B'Sil Rabbi Akiva, what's Ervas Dover, what's Ervas Dover? What's justifiable when you divorce your wife? So the Chasam Sofer says it seems like it's the other way around. You should start with Kimotz Bervas Davar, and the Shlichus is a side note, right? Why are we talking about Shlichus most of Masechta Gittin? So Chasam Sofer says because in the olden days, the only time a guy would divorce his wife really is either if he would go abroad, overseas, he doesn't want to leave his wife in Aguna because he has no idea what's going to happen to him, and there's no way, there's no way something might break out, the ship might sink. Or if he's stuck abroad and he realizes he's not going to be able to make it back, he sends a shliach. So the Mishnah, the Gemara and Gittin rather prefer to talk about positive cases of gerushin. It leaves the negative stuff all the way to the end. Kimatzav Ervas Dover is the last daf, right? So here we're talking about a guy, he's leaving his wife, and he says like this, look, I really don't want to divorce you, but if I don't make it home until 12 months, after 12 months, then this should be your get.
Would he get for a Kohen be able to say the same thing? In other words,
if he comes back earlier, would it be a problem?
Right. No, in other words, if a Kohen gives a get to his wife, Aminasi doesn't come back like 10 years, whatever it is. Whatever is it good or is it,
does he come back or not? What the guess? He came back?
If he came back, he's allowed to continue living with her or not?
So that's a good shiur because the Gemara has a whole conversation over there. Reyach haget by Kohen is a reyach haget.
Right.
Yeah, you remember that. Okay, so now you have to look into
remembered it, but okay.
Okay. But here we're talking about a regular guy. He says, yeah. He says, here is your get, and it should be a get if I don't come back in 12 months. He ended up dying in the middle of the 12 months. He never came back. Is it a get or not?
Yeah.
The halacha is, ain't no get. It's not a get. Why? He said it's only a get if I don't come back after 12 months. But he died before the 12 months. So Mela, it's not a get. Yeah?
She's almana.
So she's an almana, she needs chalitza, let's say you have children.
Right.
Chalitza, yeah. So the Gemara says, V'toni Allah, and we have a brisa on that Mishnah that says, V'Rabbi Seinu ituvu le'nosei, that our Rebbes were matter to get married. Why? Because according to them, they believe that it is a get. The get was chal, even though he died in the middle of the 12 months, the get is chal.
Who are the Rebbes?
V'Raminan man Rabbi Seinu, who are the Rebbes? Mamish, your question, Moshe. Omar Rabbi Yehuda, Omar Shmuel, Bezdina Deshoru Mishcha. You know the Rabbi Seinu are? It's the same Rebbes, the same Bezdin who was matir, Shemen of Avoid Kechavim.
Yeah.
Who is that? Bezdina Shel Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, Mamish this Hamoyrim. And why were they matir it? Because Sabri like Rabbi Yosi. They hold like Rabbi Yosi, the Omar Zmano Shel Shtar, Mechiach Olav. They hold that the Zman of the Shtar is Mechiach, which means that the get is always chal retroactively. So that means the get is chal mishas nesina.
From the time he gave it.
Not after the 12 months when he doesn't return. So since the get is always chal from the time he gave it, so even if he died, toich shnei maseh chodesh, and he didn't end up returning, that would also qualify the get as a good get from the time of the nesina, because at that time he was still alive. He gave it that time.
So because of that, she could not marry a Kohen. If she was an almana, she could marry a Kohen. But if she was
she cannot marry a Kohen according to that.
Right.
And she would also not need chalitza.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because she's megureshes. Okay, so here you see, what do you see here? You see over here that Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya was matir already. In another case, it was matir this woman to get married without chalitza because it's a good get. Okay. V'omer Rabbi Abba b'reid Rabbi Chia bar Abba, and Rabbi Abba b'reid Rabbi Chia bar Abba said, Rabbi Yehuda hanasi hoiro v'loi hoidu loi kol shatoi v'amru la kol siyatoi. He says Rabbi Yehuda hanasi, who was the Mesader of the Mishnah, he was the grandfather of Yehuda Nesiya. He was Hoira, he also was matter this woman to get married. They were never moida to him on this halacha of Amrila kol siyatoi. The whole bezdin was not moida to him. But either way, the Gemara says that Yehuda Nesiya was matter already this woman to get married without chalitza because it's a good get. He was also matter shemen, and that's why he couldn't be matter the third thing, which is pas. Okay. Now is the Gemara. Omalei Rabbi Lazar lahu sava. Rabbi Lazar said to Husava to this zaken. Kishirisua. Husava is always Eliyahu Hanavi. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where does it say that? Okay. Either way. Okay. Dr. Gross says it is Eliyahu Hanavi. And
we saw how
they asked this Zaken, who was part of the Bezna Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, he says, Kishirisua, when you're mater, this woman to get married, when you're mater this woman to get married, were you mater right away as soon as she found out the Baal died, even it's within the 12 months? Or
only at the end of 12 months.
Or it has to be right. It has to be after the 12 months, or even under 12 months. As long as you know he died already, she can get married right away. And he asks this kasha on the Mishnah. Why is he asking this shaila on the psak of Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya? Asks the Gemara. Why didn't he ask on the Mishnah itself? Why did not? A guy stipulates with his wife. He says, "I want this get to be yours now. If I don't come back from now to 12 months, a meistach dies in the middle of 12 months, have a get. Then it's a good get, because the get was the skayim, because the Baal said me'achshav. So if he's never coming back, once he dies, he's never going to come back. It's me'achshav. But And now you should have a shiur. The alter avagita. Could you get married right away as soon as he dies? The loyasa because he's not bavade, never going to show up. Or duma lachash nemes chadash. No, you have to wait 12 months until the tanai is niskayim. So why don't you ask it on the Mishnah? In that case, the Mishnah says the Gemara and Chanami elam shem da'avas ba'hu and yonu. The reason why he asks it on the Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya is because this zaken was present in the Bezdin of Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya when they decided this halacha that this woman is allowed to get married without chalitza because it's considered a good get, even though the Baal died. So that's why he asked it on that case. Okay, Zudi Gemara, Amr Abaye, Hakoil Moedim. We are like 10 lines at the bottom. Lamzayin Amr Aleph. Amr Abaye, Hakoil Moedim. Everybody agrees. If a guy says to his wife at night, he says, this get should be a get as soon as the sun rises. Does he mean to say that the get should be chal only once the sun rises? But if he dies in the middle of the night, get la'achar misahu, then it turns out to be a get after misa because he said only once the sun rises. If he dies in the middle of the night, right, then the get was never chal, so it's get la'achar misa. Or Gemara says that is for sure get la'achar misa. That's everybody's moida. If he says almanas, then avad is saying ma'achshav. V'chimais belo avadat noahava. That's avada good. Then it's avada tanai. We get mechayimu. So we have two extremes. One extreme is he said for when the sun rises. The other extreme is See, if you really missed me, I got to tell you. Last night I was in Athens, in Greece.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I get a call from a guy. In the morning. Last night I got a call from a guy. Guy says, Rabbi Gold, I watched I did a podcast with Living L'chaim, whatever, about an upcoming film. So I watched your podcast. I want to talk to you. I said, okay, no, I'm in Athens. I'm in Greece. So he says, yeah, it's really important. I said, yeah, I know. I'm in Athens. I'm in Greece. Like,
what's up?
Yeah, talk to me on the phone. He says, no, tell me where you are. I said, I told you, I'm in Athens. I'm in Greece right now. He says, no, where exactly in Athens are you? I said, I'm staying at the Radisson Blu. He says, okay, I'll be there. I said, where are you? He said, I'm in Israel. I said, how are you going to be here? He said, I'm taking the next flight out to talk to you.
Wow.
Yeah. I said, why talk to me over the phone? He says, no, I need to talk to you in person. Are you going to be there still tonight at 10 o'clock? I said, yes. He flew from Israel to Athens, showed up at my hotel with a little suitcase and waiting for me in the lobby at 10 o'clock to talk to me. I didn't even expect him to show up. And I only remembered that I had spoken to him. It was a weird conversation. I had spoken to him in the morning, and I see him there at 10 o'clock. He gives me Shalom Aleichem. I said, did you just fly from Israel to talk to me?
Yeah.
Never felt so good in my life.
Yeah. So are we
אף פעם לא הרגשתי כל כך חשוב. Never, כמו רבא. I said, יבורכך השם וישמרך. Gave him all the brachas in the world. He says, no, we got to talk. So we went to the 10th floor in the hotel. It was a nice bar over there. Sat down, got some Coke Zeros, and he takes out from his. You got to. Should I tell you what he told? It's unbelievable stuff.
Yes.
Very quickly, he said.
Yeah, I told him something.
You know what I realized? I realized I missed you guys. Okay, guy takes out from his briefcase. There's like a little thing. Takes out 2 silver trumpets. I said, "You're gonna blow this right here, right now? Like, what are you doing?" He said, "No, I made this because it's a mitzvah. You have to blow trumpets. B'shas milchama, seilach hashtei chatzotzres kesef, and it's a mitzvah that applies today also. It's your mitzvah. He spoke about it.
There's a reason why we that was my dvar Torah was the reason why we don't.
The reason why we don't is Moshe's bar mitzvah drasha. Could you give us quickly the reason? One line.
No, wait.
Or maybe
Okay.
go to the
Okay.
Unbelievable. Said here, bottom line, he had the stones of the Beis Hamikdash. He has tchelis. He has he was basically explaining to me, because I'm doing a film about the menorah in the Vatican and the Ketores and all that.
Along with Paul?
Yeah. Paul's
yeah.
director on it.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's explaining to me that there's a whole community in Eretz Yisrael who is busy with preparing the building of the Beis Hamikdash.
Absolutely, in the old city.
Not just the old city. There's a whole. I mean, what he shared with me was unbelievable. He said, I had to come and tell to you in person.
Yeah.
I said, this is all you wanted to tell me. Now you're flying back. He said, exactly, so. I said, why did you need to come to Athens to tell me this? He says, he takes out his business card and he shows me, I am the redemption expediter. This is his official title.
Yeah.
The Geula expediter, and I find people who could spread my message. Please spread my message. I said, I'll say it over the next Daf Yomi. I'll spread the message, no problem.
You just did.
I just did.
Right.
Yeah. The millions are going to watch this right here. Kitzur, okay, weiter. So if you really want, Moses,
I should have showed up there.
should have showed up in Athens. Yeah. Talmud Shegoyla, Goylan Rabbi Imoy. I'm the Talmud here. Okay, anyway, you flew back to Athens right away.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
after the
My
answer.
wife
Came just to show you the trumpets.
Rabbi, my wife
To
can.
ask me if I can collaborate and film his.
Rabbi, my wife can prescribe some medication for the people.
Okay.
No, you won't. Don't message.
I can't put this out.
No, you.
Huh? No, he made it. Okay, loy
I'll tell you
nechleku.
the answer after.
Loy nechleku. Okay, yeah. Loy nechleku. Elo be'im teitze. Okay, everybody together. Yeah, we're on it together. We're 8 lines from the bottom. Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Loy nechleku. The only time they argue, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi and the Al Chachamim argue, Elo be'im teitze. When he uses the word im teitze, a guy says to his wife, "I'm giving you a get." Im teitze chamam and artika. If the sun rises tomorrow morning. Im.
If.
Oh, not when.
Not when,
but
not
if.
likisha, right.
But if.
Not
say
likisha teitze, not almanas.
Right.
Right, those are the 2 extremes, but im. Okay, if. Okay.
Anyways, this would happen.
Im.
That means if the sun rises tomorrow.
That's when
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
that's why I told you the story where the guy flew in from Israel. If. Okay. It all fits.
Yeah, if the moon,
Elo be'im teitze.
if the sun gonna come,
If the sun comes up. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi saw like Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Yehuda
If the
Nasi.
moon turns blue.
Yeah, the Himmel Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was like Rabbi Yosi, the Omar, Zmano shel shtar mechiach olav. That once there's a date in the get itself. So the Zman of the shtar of the
Is
get
on the date.
that is moichiach. That proves his kavana that what he meant was it's like he's saying, I want the get to be chal from today, from the date on the get, because there's a mafurish date on the get. So it's like mehayoim me'achshav.
He dated it today. He didn't date it tomorrow.
No, right. He dated it today at the time that he's giving it to her.
Right.
The Rabbanan who argue on Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, less Lud Rabbi Yosi. They don't hold that the date on the get plays a role over here in proving his das. V'havale kezagitech amesi greda. Therefore, it's like he said kezagitech im amesi, right? Without adding mahayoim or me'achshav. It's just im. It's a regular im, and therefore, if he dies before the sun comes up, that's a get la'achar miso. That doesn't work. So that would be the machloikis in the case of im teitze. Im teitze chaman artika, do you hold like Rabbi Yosi that the zman is like it says mehayoim or me'achshav? Or you don't know like Rabbi Yosi, you don't take the zman into account and it's get la'achar miso. Gufa, so the Gemara says, hey, Rabbi Yosi me'ezer seido, al ayol kamtze dochon, v'al mashko bei mitbachaya dochon, v'al diyikrav l'misa mesov, v'kar Yosef Sharia. Yosef ben Yezer was matir 3 things. Number 1, a grasshopper called Ayal. He was also matir the base mashke, the mashke, the Beit Bachaya, and the Azar, the Beis Hamikdash. They're all mashkim are tahir. The yikrav lamisa masav. Anybody touches a mace, that is tamei, and they called him Yosef Shari. The Gemara says, "My ayal kanza." We're going to take it apart, each one separately. My ayal kanza. What is ayal kanza? What is the type of grasshopper that's called an ayal? It's called an ayal. Rav Papa Amar Sheshiva. It's a min that's called Sheshiva, Rav Chia Barami Mishmei Dula Amar Susbil. It's called Susbil. Okay, I need a translation for that too, right? I mean, it's like the.
I can even answer because the ayal is like saying this is the cat family.
This is the
cat.
And what type of cat? A shiva or Susbil?
Tiger or a husky.
Why? It's a דומה לאייל. What way?
שהוא עומד, הוא דומה לאייל. הגראסהופר הזה, the way it stands, it look like אייל.
I see.
אז קראו לו אייל.
Like an ayal, a grasshopper, it's like an ayal.
What's an ayal?
Ayal? What's an ayal? Ayal is a ram?
Not a ram.
Like
right, a gazelle, right.
A gazelle.
So they spring.
that's why the grasshopper is like an ayal. That's what I'm sure they're saying.
Maybe.
What were you saying in the bottom?
Maybe.
What's he explaining in the bottom?
They have a whole explanation here. But I guess you're going to continue.
Okay. Rav Papa Omar Sheshiva v'kamiflagi b'roishai aroich, whether the chagav that has a longer head is mutter b'achila, marsavar roisha arach aser, and marsavar roisha arach mutter. Yeah, that's the machlokas, whether the grasshopper that has a longer head is mutter b'achila, aser b'achila. Chibar shedu lo amar susbil. Yeah, it's called a susbil. It's a type of grasshopper where the wings cover most of the body. Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody holds that if the head is elongated, then that type of grasshopper is also the kulam. It's longer neck, longer head. That's for sure. I guess longer head because the grasshoppers, their head goes down this way, right? What if you have this grasshopper that the wings are chayfen, they cover over most of the body, but not all of it. Mamish betzimtzam. Mar sava ruba koldu be'inon. As long as it's roiv, then that's tar. And the mar sava ruba de minker be'inon. It's not roiv of the body. It has to be ruba de minker. It has to be mamish the whole guf, and that's why it's asr b'achila because it's not ruba de minker. Okay, we are up to the two dots. Lamed zayin and beis.
Okay.
4 lines from the top by the two dots.
Thank you.
Al mashka bei mitpachaya. Dochan.
Yeah, thank you.
Any mashkim in the kitchen of the Azar the Beis Hamikdash where they shechted the animals or where they skinned it, that's dochan, those are tar. My dochan. What does it mean that these mashkin are tar? Rav Omar dochan mamish. It means that it's not makabel tome at all. Shmuel Omar dochan milatame acherim. Avada that avada avotum zatzmi yesh avada they're makabel tuma, but they don't have the status of tume to be able to pass it on to other mashkin, to other entities.
What they're shlishi? What is it?
So they themselves become tame, right? They themselves become tame. They're makabel tuma. So like these mashkin are tame, but if something else touches the mashka, then it can't pass on that tame and make something else tame.
Wait, so the mashka is puzzle, but it's not. It's
Yeah, it can't be matama other things. That's the shaila Rav and
So
Shmuel.
again, the mashka is a ravi, a shlishi. What is it?
I don't know what level, but it says it's tame.
In other words, it's
makabel tuma.
rishon. I mean, right? Of rishon, sheni,
Right.
shlishi, and ravi. What is that? What?
Yeah, I don't know which level
one
it
is
is.
Which one is it?
Only by Hegdish.
Only by what? Hegdish, right? Yeah. We're talking about the base of mikdash.
What
is that?
It's tar. It becomes tummy. Is it able to become tar again?
Say it again.
Is it able to become tar again?
What?
The mashkin? Once it becomes...
You're going to toivel it? What are you going to do with
What are
it?
you going to do with it? Yeah. Maybe it could be mevatel it. Maybe like take that mashkin and be mevatel it.
It's no. That I don't think that ever works.
That doesn't work. Okay.
Water by Hashaka. Water can become the water.
Well, that's water. That's mine by mikvah. But this is
That's liquid. Water.
no. What? Okay.
Okay, let's see. Rav Omar dochan mamish ksov tumas mashkin midrabanan. Rav says that dochan it's tahar mamish because he holds tumas mashkin, the whole tumah by a mashkin. The fact that a mashkin can even become tumah to begin with, that's only drabanan.
The whole thing is
The whole thing by mashkin. The mashkin is makabel tumah is only a din drabanan.
How's that shaykh
If he
b'chalon
goes to
based on
rabbanan tumah, if he goes to rabbanan tumah by mashkin the alma, right? When would chachamim goizer? The mashkin should be makabel tumah. That's only stam mashkin. Aval b'mashka beimit b'chaya loy gozer rabbanon. B'mashka beismit b'chaya in the Beis Hamikdash there chacham were not gozer tumah b'chlal, and that's why the mashkin itself doesn't become tameh. Shmuel Omer dochem elatame acherim. it means it's Torah from being matama other stuff. Avol tumas atzman yesh behen. But avodah the mashkin, even in the Beis Hamikdash, it becomes tamei.
But it's that means it's puzzle.
Yes.
Right.
Sovar Thomas Mashkin D'Oraisa. He holds Thomas Mashkin is not Xer D'Rabbanan. The fact that Mashkin becomes Tamei is a D'Oraisa. It's only Latama Acherim D'Rabbanan. The whole D'Rabbanan by Mashkin is only with regard to being Matama Acherim, to passing it on. So whatever the D'Rabbanan was by Mashkin, that's what doesn't apply in the Beimet B'chaya of the Azara. The question is, what is the D'Rabbanan of Mashkin? So according to Rav, the Etzem Tumah of Mashkin is D'Rabbanan. According to Shmuel, the Tumas Mashkin is D'Rabbanan with regard to Tal Tamei Acherim. Val the Yikra L'misam Asov. What about the third thing that he was matir? Yosef ben Yezer was matir. If somebody touches a mace, he becomes tamei. And for that, says the Gemara, v'korei Yosef Sharia. For that, he was 3 strikes and he was out. He had the strike of Mashkin, Beimet B'chaya. He had the strike of the
Shemin.
Of the Chagav.
The Chagav is what? Is the
right? That was the Chagav.
The grasshopper.
The grasshopper. And he had this third thing was because he said, an Egeya b'meis, somebody touches a dead person, is tamei. The Karli Yosef Sharia. So the Gemara says, Yosef Asora mi boyalei. Why is he called Yosef Sharia? The third thing was, it's by the 2 dots, third from the top of Lamed Zayin of base. Yeah? Okay. Yosef Asara mi boyalei. Should have called him Yosef Asara. Why? Because he asered. He said if somebody touches a corpse, he's tamei. That's not matter, that's asering. So the Gemara says, why do they call him Yosef Sharia? So, yeah, Yosef Asar, but the opposite should be true. Yosef Asar,
because there's some.
He wasn't Yosef Hamater, he was Yosef Aser, because he said you're tamei if you touch a corpse.
Maybe there's some mason that don't make it tamei.
And he said you are tamei, so why is he called? Either way, he said he's Aser.
Even those ones that you can't, that if you do touch, you won't become tamei.
He said it's Aser. But then why would they call him Yosef who's mater? If he's machmer, why would they call him Yosef who's mater? Yosef Shari means Yosef who's mater. So the Gemara says, Yosef Asar mi boilei, v'oid d'oiraisehi. So the Raisa, if you touch a dead corpse, you touch a corpse, v'chsev, v'choil asher yigal pnei asoda b'chlal cherva b'meis, yit m'shivas yomim. Gemara says, the Oiraisa, the yikrav tomei. The yikrav b'di yikrav tahor. Mid the Raisa, it's only the guy who actually touches the mace. But if let's say I touch Reb Shol who touches the mace, then that's not with the Raisa. I'm second. I'm not
Shani.
I'm a Shani.
No.
I'm one step removed.
Avi is the mace itself. The Av is the one who touches it. Right, yeah.
So with the Raisa, if I touch you and you're touching a corpse, with the Raisa, I'm not tamei.
No,
that's what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying the only time the Torah asers b'tumas meis says asher yiga pnei asadeh that touches it. Yeah, if I touch the person who touches, that's not a problem. V'asu inu v'gazur afilu digli Chazal were geyser on that as well. V'asu ihu v'ukma d'oraisa.
הם גזרו אפילו תומה רביעית בקודשים. קודשים.
Wow.
תומה רביעית.
Yeah.
So תומה רביעית is
רק בקודשים.
So what did Rabbi Yosef ben Yezer do? Why they call him Yosef HaMater? You know why? Because the Chachamim said the one who touches, the person who touches is Aser. And Yosef said, no, it's mutter. He's tired. Midiraisa, he says, we're going to go with the din Torah. Gemara says, that's also not true. The yikav na midiraisa. No. If I touch the person who touches a mace, I'm also awesome. I'm also tamei midiraisa. Chsiv. V'choil ashiyiga b'yatomei yitmo. Even if you touch the person who became tamei, you're also tamei. So that's also midiraisa. Amru Rabban Kamei Rav Shmuel Rav Nachman. The Omar Shmei Rav Nachman d'iraisa. The Yikrav the Yikrav. B'chiburen Tumas Shiva. Sheloi b'chiburen Tumas Erev. The truth is, they're both d'oraisa. Reb Shol touches a mace, Tumah mid'oraisa. I touch Reb Shaul who touches a mace, I'm also Medoraisa. But we have different Dina Tumah. He needs 7 days to become Torah. I need only Tumas Erev. I'm only Tumah till Erev and then I'm Torah. Yeah. So that's it. So now, also inu the Chachamim came, the Gozel, and they said they're Gozel, afilu sheloi b'chibur and Tumas Sheva. They said that even though I'm the second, I'm touching only the person who touches the mace, and with the rice I only need 1 day. I'm not 1 night. Chacham said no, you need 7, just like the guy who touches the actual mace. That's the Chachamim.
So that's D'Rabbanan.
Midrabanan.
Right.
The length of time that it takes me to become Torah, that's the Rabbanan.
Right.
But also iu. And Yosef ben Yezer said, I'm going to be lenient. I'm going to reestablish the din da'araisa on the guy who touches, the person who touched the mace. So he doesn't need 7 days. Only Tumas Erev is enough. And that's why they called him Yosef Shari, because he was a matir. Because he was Mekel. He took the Chachamim, the Gzeres Chachamim, who said you need 7, right? And he said, no, it's enough for Tumas Erev.
Does he need to spritz with the paraduma or not?
The Tumas Erev? I don't think so. It's only Tumas Shiva. Tumas Shiva, the dinner for the Paraduma was Tumas Shiva.
So basically, the one who actually touched the mace is the only one who needs, right? And the one who touched him does not, right?
Tumas Erev, yeah. You toivel on the mikvah and then you're good. The Gemara says, the Oraisa Mahi, what's the makar for this chilik in the Torah, that if somebody touches needs 7, and somebody touches the person who touches is only 1. And again, Mr. Yamim, so you see there's a steer in the Torah in Psukim. One pasuk says that is only Tomei ad Erev, and the other pasuk says Shivas Yomim. How do you reconcile this contradiction?
Yeah.
Teretz is one pasuk is talking about the person who touches the mace directly. That's Shiva, and the other pasuk is talking about the person who touches Shaloi v'Chiburin. That is only Tumas Erev. And that's what Yosef ben Yezer paskins. Omar Lu Rava. So Rava says, didn't I tell you already? Don't hang up empty jugs in this Rav Nachman, alleged Rav Nachman saying, what Rav Nachman said. He never said it. Rav Nachman never said what you just said. Again, they attributed to Rav Nachman this chilik between Tumas Shiva and Tumas Erev. And he said that's not, and he said that's not what Nachman said at all. Nachman said something else. Hachi Yomer of Nachman. Safik Tumah b'Shesarabim hitur lehen. When Yosef ben Yezer was matir Tumas Mes, he was matir a very specific case. If you walk in Rosh Hashanah, right? It's unbelievable. I walk in Rosh Hashanah. I was just now in Naples, in Italy. I was in Corfu. I was different islands. Do you know that
Greece? No,
Corfu was in Greece. Yes, I was in different islands. Do you know that they have cemeteries that have been totally demolished by the Nazis in the Second World War and during the Holocaust? For example, they have in Saloniki, right? Saloniki is one of the cities in Greece that was known as the Yerushalayim of the Balkans. It was known that they kept Shabbos, the entire city kept Shabbos. A majority, unbelievable.
Wow.
For years, hundreds of years, they kept Shabbos. The port was closed. It was a port city. The entire port was closed. Your mamish felt it was like Yerushalayim. Like mamish go to Yerushalayim right now. Bar Ilan is closed. Mei Sharim. You have the strollers, the kids, everybody walking. Saloniki for hundreds of years was like that. Okay, and very very.
Is he saying that's one of the islands?
No, it's in Greece, but it was very tragic because what ended up happening to Saloniki, 80% of they were they were killed. They were sent to Auschwitz. A very sad story, very very sad story. But to make a long story short, there are cemeteries today.
Yeah.
Cemeteries today that used to be the Beis Yosef lived in Saloniki, right? The Bala Chadoidi, Rav Shlomo Al-Kabitz, was born in Saloniki, right?
Wow.
Probably the song of L'Chadoidi was influenced by the culture of Saloniki because they kept Shabbos. So they have cemeteries there that you would never know it was a cemetery. They have Gedolim buried there, yeah? They have Gedolim buried there. And now the matzevas are used to build universities, Aristotle University, right? They use the matzevas to build parks and universities, and you're there, and your heart mamash melts. It's like a public area, and who's buried underneath? Tzaddikim, Gedolim, right? So what we're talking about over here is, we're saying it's a suffix tumah b'Rosh Hashanah. What does it mean? You walk in a Rosh Hashanah and you don't know what's underneath. It could very well be that Rabbi Yosef Taitachak, who was the Rebbe of the Bet Yosef, right? In Salonika, you had a yeshiva for dozens of years, is buried right where you're walking, right? Okay, it's tzaddikim and musas and Korean chayim. You want to make an argument, they're not matame. Okay, whatever. But you have graves in Rosh Hashanah that nobody knows of. So when it's a suffix, let me just finish one thing. When it's a suffix tum Rosh Hashanah, hitterlam. So Rabbi Yossi ben Yezer said, if you're not sure when you're walking on the streets whether there is a corpse, whether there is a grave there, you're not a suffix, then it's mutter. And that was the kula that Yosef ben Yezer issued, which is why they called him Yosef Sharia. That was what Rav Nachman meant to say. Yes.
By the way, tzaddikim, when they buried in the Chutz La'aretz, probably they're not there. They're going straight to him. They have a story in Tzfat.
Yeah.
In Tzfat, no, even before.
You mean the physical body?
The physical body not there. זה מובא במזל הריזה, לא אני ממציא את זה.
But they dug up places and they saw there was people.
It's a מקום קדושה where they like קבר, but they probably not there.
But meaning like the body also, their body also, everything, the whole thing is
I'm gonna send you the story.
not Omer.
Are dinosaurs considered false as under?
Are they considered what? Dinosaurs?
Dinosaur bones.
No,
That's a shiur. Okay, he's gonna.
because something's dead. Doesn't,
According to Rabbi Yosef ben Yezer,
if you go to a butcher
it's not a
shop,
problem because it's suffix.
The bones are not matame.
He's tired. You want to look at Tchila? Can you walk there?
If you go over a cemetery,
no, that's of a person only.
No, that's not. I'm saying you would never know. Like you never know.
People only hold tzaddikim.
Ask the Gemara. Let's finish the two dots. Ask the Gemara. Hilchas and Mesoitik Amin Allah. Let me just finish the two dots. How could you say suffix tum Rosh Hashanah is tor? We learn from Saita. And by a Saita, suffix zinsa, right? Suffix is aser. She becomes aser with suffix, right? So mas Saita Rosh Hashanah af tuma Rosh Hashanah. That's when you're machmer. Only Rosh Hashanah, but not Rosh Hashanah. So you see that suffix tum Rosh Hashanah is mutter min ha-Torah. So why is Yosef ben Yezer at fault for saying suffix tumah b'shesarabim is tahar? It's a mamash pasuk in the Torah. It's only soita. Soita is compared to Rosh Hashanah, but Shesarabim it's mashma the Torah. Suffix to Shesarabim is mutter. Where it says Amar Rabbi Yochanan halacha ve'in moirin came. Truth is, you're right. The truth is that suffix to Shesarabim is tahar min ha-Torah. But nobody paskin like that because they didn't want to be paskin like that because they don't want to mezalzel and din tumah.
Right.
So Yosef ben Yezer came and printed it in the breaking news. Like he basically made it go viral. He said, everybody, suffix tumah, you can paskin like that, no problem. Practically speaking, suffix to Shesarabim is mutter, is tahar. And that was why they called him a mekel. Tainam hachi, Rabbi Yoel Kairis noatz lehem va'omer at kashem sayachid. Rabbi Yosef ben Yezer basically made dividers, saying this is Rabbim, it's okay, this is Yochanan, it's not okay. Okay, still two. Okay, fine. Okay, Shkoyach, everyone.
Do you know Yitzhak?